My apologies, Jiraiya-sensei, but this must be done. Naruto Uzumaki refuses to surrender his tailed beast, so I shall have to show him true pain. Almighty push! Chidori! Yahiko turned in time to raise his arm. The blue lightning slammed into him, sending him flying into the distant Hokage monument. Sasuke hovered in the air as the electricity faded, grotesque wings keeping him afloat. His curse mark was fully activated, the Uchiha descending to join Tsunade and Jiraiya. He bowed to the Hokage. I'm sorry I left my prison before my sentence was completed, Lady Tsunade. Tsunade breathed a sigh of relief. Consider your sentence served. Let's just hope that dealt with the last path. I'm afraid he's not the last path. All the others have been revived. Everyone turned to see Kakashi's shadow clone, wounds visible across his body. My original is fending them off, but without support I won't last. Tsunade grimaced. If Kakashi was lost, that would be a major blow. Sasuke, Jiraiya, I'm putting you in charge of helping Kakashi. I'll provide backup for Sakura and Haku. A sage and Uchiha nodded, Tsunade turning as a group of Jonin approached her. Have our remaining shinobi spread across the village. Be ready for an attack from anywhere, and proceed with caution. Outside the village, Naruto stopped in front of the large tree he sensed Konan enter. He saw no opening, but his heightened senses could detect 2 chakra signatures inside. The blonde scanned the tree bark, sensing no natural chakra within part of it. He drew a kunai and slashed through the wall of paper, which reverted to his regular white. The blonde stepped inside, Konan standing in front of a strange mechanism. In it sat a young man, comprised solely of bones. Red hair covered one of his Rinnegan. What made Naruto gasp was the sight of a dozen black rods protruding from the man's back. Naruto sensed his thinning chakra reserves, using it to control the paths of pain from afar. He remembered the tailed beast's words. The black rods covering the paths were chakra receivers, meaning the giant tree was a way to send signals without interference. You're the leader of the Akatsuki, Pain, or should I refer to you as your real name, Nagato Uzumaki? That's enough, Konan, the man said weakly as his protector moved to defend him. We meet at last, Naruto Uzumaki. I never expected this day to come. I wasn't about to let you have your way. You've caused too much pain and suffering for me to lose. Naruto scowled. Nagato frowned. And what shall you do now that you face the killer of your fellow Jinchuriki? Avenge them through my death? You already know I won't do that. Nagato scoffed. How predictable. I thought killing Kisame would change you, but you're still as weak as ever. Nagato blinked to find a kunai directly in front of his eye. Naruto's expression remained cold, Konan unable to react before she was trapped by wooden bindings. I could kill you whenever I want. I choose not to, even if ending your life would bring me and others relief. Naruto's gaze softened, lowering his blade. I've heard stories from Jiraiya-sensei. We used to be alike. I could have become you easily. But, knowing what I know now, I'm glad I didn't become you, despite all the suffering it's caused me. Don't you dare compare us, Nagato seethed. Not when I'm the one who caused you all that pain. Naruto stepped back, and because of that, I doubt I'll ever forgive you. But I will not follow the same path of pain and revenge. That's not what the world needs. Nagato scoffed. What the world needs? Who cares what the world needs? The world has been nothing but cruel. The only reason I'm here is because the world stole the people I cherished. No, Nagato. People stole them. Shinobi, not the world. Yes, the shinobi world is cruel, but destroying it, or controlling it through the terror of the Ten Tails, is not the way. That hatred and violence will only breed further suffering. Then I shall be the one to carry it all, Nagato snapped, startling Naruto. I will take on all that hatred. I will be the only person they fear. That way, all of humanity will unite under a common enemy. And when I eventually die, the world will have peace. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, Naruto spat. When you die, they'll just find another reason to fight amongst themselves. Land, jutsu, the tailed beasts. Your way only prolongs the inevitable. Then what do you propose we do? Konan pleaded, watching Nagato shaking in the corner of her eye. Naruto put a hand on his chest, extending the other to Nagato. Naruto put a hand on his chest, extending the other to Nagato. I'll create a new world, one where shinobi don't need to kill, where our kind are not feared but loved, where lands won't have to bend and crumble to the whims of other lands, where people like us can be friends. I'll do this without the need to rule through fear. Nagato stared with wide eyes. That plan is even more absurd than my own. And to do so without killing a single person? What kind of fool are you? Naruto kept his gaze. The kind that can't find it within themselves to give up, no matter what. I will fulfill this promise, even if it means I have to pluck the Rinnegan from your skull. Even if it means I have to go against the entire shinobi system. Even if it means I have to do it alone. So please, Nagato, don't resist. End this madness. You don't have to suffer anymore. Konan was awestruck. Even as her bindings receded, she couldn't bring herself to move. She'd felt this sensation twice before. Once, when Yahiko founded the original Akatsuki. Another, when Nagato changed its mission. Each one felt so pure and right, despite being such opposites. And now, after the suffering she'd caused, she felt so ashamed. Naruto compared himself to Nagato, but the blonde was more like Yahiko. He stayed true to the young man's convictions better than she ever had. Absurd! Konan finally looked up to Nagato, Rinnegan ready to burst from his skull. His veins bulged, as an indescribable wave of ki filled the hollow tree. Naruto tensed from fear. He'd faced the ki of the 6 paths of pain, but this was on a level equal to the tailed beasts. No, it's surpassed that, Naruto realized. I can even feel the beasts inside me quivering with fear. So this is the true power of the Rinnegan. Absurd! Ridiculous! Downright impossible! There was no way a brat like you could fulfill this twisted dream. If Yahiko couldn't, and I couldn't, then no one can. Anyone who tries is doomed to die. There's a reason I was chosen to inherit the eyes of the Sage of 6 Paths. It's because I'm the only one who can end this nightmare of a world, and created a new ninja art. Summoning Jutsu! Nagato's hands slammed together, smoke engulfing the space. Naruto forced back panic, at the realization he could use Rinnegan abilities without his paths of pain. Said paths were now charging Naruto, the blonde jumping out of the tree. He dodged a barrage of chakra receiver rods, ducking under Asura's chainsaw. Boil style, erupting propulsion fist. Tenfold! Naruto's punch turned Asura into nothing but a pair of legs. Naruto knew they weren't alive, so he could go all out. Plus, more damage meant the King of Hell would require more chakra. Not that I'm gonna let that happen, Naruto mused. He jumped in time to avoid Preta, landing and kicking up at the human path's head. Fire style! Flying Phoenix! The flames reduced the path into a headless corpse. Naraka engaged him in taijutsu, trying to grab the blonde's tongue. He was pushed towards Preta, who tried to grab him. Naruto pushed off Naraka's chest, backflipping and throwing a Rasen shuriken. Preta absorbed it, his arm swiftly turning to stone. Preta cut it off with a chakra rod, Naruto making shadow clones as he landed. They dashed off to retrieve the fallen paths, while he ran through hand signs. Ice style. Giant crystal ice mirrors! Each mirror was twice the size of Naruto, the blondes preparing an endless volley of icicles, planning to kill the rest of the paths. Yahiko stepped forward, raising his palm towards the mirrors. Planetary devastation. A pure black orb appeared in the man's hand, growing as Naruto launched the blades of ice. The orb then shot forward, the icicles drawn towards it as it smashed through one of the mirrors. The fragments collected around the orb, the remaining mirrors following. Naruto abandoned them, feeling the intense well of gravity drawing everything in. Chunks of earth and uprooted trees flew towards the black singularity. Naruto tried to keep himself rooted to the ground with wood style, but it was ineffective. He was sucked into what he could only describe as a small moon. Naruto muttered curses. If I want to avoid being crushed, I'll need to destroy that thing. It will take all the senjutsu chakra I have, maybe more. The blonde raised his arms, forcing the collected natural chakra out into a spiraling sphere. The orange markings above his eyes faded as the white blades of energy formed. Explosion style. Giant Rasen Shuriken! The blast unleashed a shockwave that threatened to topple the giant tree Nagato resided in. No debris was left behind. Black orb losing its power. Naruto fell to the ground with a thud, with no time to recover. Preto was on top of him, arms restored. Naruto sensed his approach, weaving hand signs at top speed. He then waited until Preto's hand was an inch from his head, before raising his clasped hands. Storm style, laser arrow! In an instant, Preto was on the ground, a hole through its chest. Naruto quickly sealed it into a scroll, looking up to the animal path, Naraka path, and Yahiko. The former had just summoned a horde of Renegon-eyed beasts, all charging at Naruto. Naruto growled, reaching for a storage scroll filled with meditating clones. Hey, brat. Let me switch with that clone. Naruto looked up to the Nine Tails, the other beasts looking to the fox in shock. What are you talking about? Naruto asked. Let me take control of the shadow clone you're bringing out. I'll handle the Naraka and animal paths, while you deal with the diva. But why are you even doing this? Don't tell me you've come to like Naruto. Shukaku giggled. The fox snarled. Quiet, Tanuki. I just hated what that redhead Uzumaki said. I have no interest in the sick world he intends on making, especially if he's going to use Father's eyes to do it. Son Goku laughed. I suppose even our eldest brother has his own morals. Stop making it a big deal, the Ninetales commanded, his siblings trying to restrain their laughter. Just give me control of the clone, and everything will be fine. Naruto, the animal path will throw all its beasts at you. They're just imitations of us true-tailed beasts. I can handle them. Naruto didn't need long to think. He nodded yes, returning to the real world as he summoned the clone. He tapped it on the shoulder, sensing the fox's chakra spike within his clone. Naruto ran ahead, towards Yahiko. Orange chakra condensed around his clone, six tails swaying. Finally, some action! The Ninetales chuckled, adopting a scowl. You're going to pay for using the Rinnegan this way. A deep growl echoed through the forest as the six tails grew in size. A deep growl echoed through the forest as the six tails grew in size. Naruto didn't find himself afraid when he heard the fox's roar. If anything, he felt at ease knowing the Ninetales was coming around. He focused back on Yahiko, the diva path. After him, he could reach Nagato. Almighty push! Naruto avoided the invisible force using soul speed, dashing around him as fast as possible to find an opening. Naruto avoided the invisible force using soul speed, dashing around him as fast as possible to find an opening. Yahiko began defending with fast-flying chakra rods. Naruto sent out shadow clones, Yahiko destroying each one as it came close. Naruto now had a feel for his speed, as well as the 5-second cooldown for his gravity powers. I just need to avoid his planetary devastation jutsu at all costs. Yahiko blasted away his clone, Naruto attacking with kunai. Yahiko blocked each one of his slashes, using Almighty Push again. Naruto jumped over the attack, landing and spinning to attack Yahiko's neck. Yahiko summoned another chakra rod from his palm. A Rasengan came next, Yahiko grabbing the blonde's arm. Naruto held in a cry of pain, a chakra rod breaking through his flesh and bone. His Rasengan vanished, other hand dropping his kunai. Magnet style. Flying kunai! The blade stopped falling, shooting towards Yahiko's side, only for it to be blocked by another chakra rod. He can make them from any part of his body? Naruto growled. Wind style. Compression burst! Yahiko jumped away, Naruto cradling his injured arm. He used wood style to cover his lower arm, charging another Rasengan. Lava style. Molten wasteland! Yahiko couldn't blow all the lava away, moving back to avoid it. Naruto took the straight path with a wild burst of air. Almighty push! Naruto allowed the blast to hit, transforming his Rasengan into a Rasen Shuriken. He hurled it at Yahiko, the Akatsuki summoning a chakra rod staff. He thrusted the staff forward, piercing the Rasen Shuriken. Yahiko then hurled the staff at Naruto, his own attack exploding. Naruto narrowly dodged, weaving hand signs. Boil style. Jet stream! The steam was created from all the chakra Naruto could spare, putting it all into enhancing his speed. This was his last chance. Even with his stored clone batteries, he summoned one more Rasengan. Nothing but a wisp of steam was seen from Naruto as he flew towards Yahiko. The Akatsuki raised his hand, suddenly aiming behind himself. Universal pull! Naruto was jerked forward, trying to redirect the steam into his fist, but he wasn't fast enough. A chakra rod traveling through his chest. Yahiko remained stoic as the blonde turned limp. It's over, Naruto Uzumaki. I think not. Scorch style. Water killer. Yahiko's Rinnegan widened. The skewered Naruto burst into smoke, his Rasengan transforming into the real blonde. In an instant, the pink orb traveled the distance, exploding in Yahiko's face. Steam rose as the Akatsuki fell to the ground, Nagato no longer able to control it. Naruto was panting, looking down at the shriveled face of the Diva Path. If we had met, we might have been friends, Yahiko. I don't know if you agree with Nagato's plan, but I will stop him either way. The Jinchuriki made his way towards Nagato. Meanwhile, his tailed beast continued to battle the animal path's summoned creatures. His tail slashed through each of them, more swarming him. Damn it all, the fox snarled, raising its head. You can't use a tailed beast bomb here, Chome panicked. Agreed. You could catch Naruto in the crossfire. Not to mention the Leaf Village, Isobu added. Fine, and what do you suggest I do then? The fox grunted. Instead of brute force, be more like Naruto and use strategy. Taking care of the root problem, for example, Tokuo suggested. The fox seethed, shifting through Naruto's various ninjutsu before deciding on one. His grin turned savage, eyes focusing on the Naraka and animal paths, hiding past the summons. Let's see what you can do, brat. Twin Vermilion Rasengan. And then, Wind Style Soul Speed! The Ninetales was a blur, faster than Naruto had ever gone. The paths had no way to react. They were torn to pieces by the spinning purple spheres. The summoned animals vanished in clouds of smoke, the fox smirking at his handiwork. That's how you get things done, little brat. If you like what you just heard, consider hitting the subscribe button and bell icon to get notified about new videos. If there's a part you've missed, then check out the entire playlist on screen. If you like this story, please share it with your fellow anime lovers. Any support helps a lot. That's all for now. This is Ninja Kai, disappearing in a golden flash.